Well, I'm sitting here in the driveway with the camper all set up. I do this at the end of each season to dry things out, like the awning, and wash things up. I clean the inside, the outside too. But this is a 10-year overview. I'm not even going to call it a review. A 10-year overview of this camper. And I'm going to try to do it fairly quickly with less verbiage so that I can get it all done in one video, and hopefully it won't take that long. 10 years ago, I did a complete tour of this thing. It was purchased, the shell, and then I built out this cargo camper in 2014. And it is now, as of this taping, 2024. So this thing was finished about 2 months ago in 2014. Started it, building it in April, and finished out in June, and we took off and did our first trip, which was a trip to Michigan. Not too far away, but far away enough to give this thing a good shakedown. It's basically stayed the same since then. But when you build something like this, you can change it, you can add things, you can subtract things. And I've done all of that. But the bulk of it stayed the same. And the reason for that was because we had a philosophy of out of the rain, off the ground, and into a bed. The rest is gravy. Well, first things first, this is a Proline trailer, not to be mixed up with another Proline brand. This one's out of New Hampshire, New Hampshire Trailers.com in Milton. And it's an all aluminum trailer. It's been absolutely 100% trouble-free for 10 years. And right now about 47,000 miles on it. We've been to all the lower 48 states more than once, and a bunch of Canadian provinces. Much of it has been boondocking, out in rural areas. When I ordered it, I ordered that little step that you see right down there. I ordered the aluminum wheels. We had them put an awning on it for us, and it came in with a couple of lights in the ceiling, which, I did a lot of rewiring, but I wanted to be able to see inside. I opted for the barn doors instead of the ramp door because we don't haul any ATV type things. And I wanted to build something like this on the outside, which we'll get to in a second. Instead of a cargo door, we opted for a camper door, which has a regular camper latch, and it has a screen door on the inside. It has a relatively short tongue. I wish it was longer. Here is the repair from the damage I did turning. Previous video you might have seen. On the outside, I needed a place to put the spare. Didn't want to put it underneath. Didn't want to put it in the camper. So I bought this J-channel tire carrier and welded a pipe on it and put a mount at the bottom. And that keeps the tire on the front and up above the bumper. And if the truck is parked fairly straight, the tailgate opens cleanly without hitting it. A little point of interest, because the cover happens to be off, I have regular lug nuts on here, but I also drilled and put a little cotter pin through here. So at least one of the lug nuts will always stay on, even though they've never loosened. On the outside, it came with a wheeled jack on the front. And just last year, this is something new, I replaced it with a trailer valet, which has a removable crank, and it's pretty heavy duty, and you can even put a drill on this and use it, but it cranks up and down pretty easily, so I don't bother doing that. And while I am out here, for our antenna, we have a small television antenna that is mounted on a 12-foot window washer pole that just turns and slides up in two sections and goes up above the trailer. And this antenna works really well. The coax cable has a press fit that fits right in here when I flip up this door on the side. We have two of these chairs, which are from 2010. We use them camping and we also use them at home. And they are the best and amazing chairs. You've probably seen them like this, but they have the leg. They're called gravity chairs, the leg thing that sticks down. I haven't seen any without that since then, and I wouldn't want them, but this has been great. They're extremely comfortable and a little heavier than your typical aluminum chair because they are steel, but they work good. This table right here is, after a lot of research, I decided to get this one. It is very well made. It sets up very easily, and it has various length legs. Right now they're on their lowest. And I used to have a fold-out table, the kind that are plastic, you open up in half and put the legs down. But it was always too high. They're always too high for lawn chairs. This one on low is perfect. Otherwise, you're eating and your plate is a foot above your waist. This is perfect, and this table is very solid, and we used it this year the first time, and it's been wonderful. I added this counter 2 years ago. It is made from 1/4-inch aluminum diamond plate. Underneath are these retractable stainless steel brackets that are very sturdy. They'll hold a couple 100 pounds, and they really work well. You push a couple buttons underneath, the thing folds flat on the side of the trailer. This has been one of the best additions I've made because I can put the camp stove out here and have enough countertop to actually cook with. And we're still rocking these small jack stands. If you put one either ahead or behind the tire, in this case ahead because the trailer is a little longer on the front, and you can stop the suspension from moving, one on each side, the trailer pretty much is stationary. Okay, looking at the rear of the trailer, we have a bed. There's a full aluminum screen here, and down here is the garage. This awning, which hooks way up there on the top, and then a small rod can be used as an extension arm to help you put it up top so it goes up easy. And then this hooks into these pins, and we have a rear awning. Now, we don't use it much. When we're traveling generally and picking up and going day after day, I don't put it up. But if we're going to be a music festival or camp someplace 2 or 3 days in a row, we want to leave the back open, we think it might rain, you put this up and you don't get wet in bed. And here is the area that's under the bed in the back. And I have a small table in there right now, but the rug goes on there, the 2 chairs go on top, and the table, when it's taken apart, goes on top of that. I have 2 electrical cords. They're both 25 feet, they're number 12 wire. So I can have 2 cords, or I can put them together and get one 50-footer should I need it. That little slot under there is where the canopy goes. The canopy retracts a little bit. The poles kind of slide into each other, and that slides under there. And that's where it's stored. Okay, I'm standing in the front of the camper, looking towards the rear. And I'm sitting on the bed looking towards the front. Now, you'll notice that our minimalist idea of camping includes certain things, but leaves some things out. There's no shower. There's also no sink. Being no sink, there's no water tanks that are needed. We have small jugs, 1-gallon jugs that we fill, and I keep a large one in the truck, and that helps us with our water needs. In the top cupboard is stored a few things like some of our plates and forks, and it's also where the circuit breakers are and the fuses. The bottom cupboard, there's one large drawer that's shaped like a triangle, and that holds a lot of mostly kitchen stuff. And then underneath the two cabinet doors is the battery and the charger, and a couple of bins for things like fry pans and pots, and a few other items. I have a flip-up maple table right here that has the same angle brackets that lock into place like I have on the flip-up countertop outside. This unlocks and pulls out about 18 inches, so that becomes a desk or extra counter space when we eat or if we need preparation for food. This is the commode, or our bathroom, and I did a video which I'll post down below which shows building this. It has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. This commode, and I have cleaned it, so I will lift it up. This commode has a diverter in it for urine, a place to collect solid waste. There's a small ping pong ball in it that floats when you pee, and it drops down and cuts odor out. So it's like a check valve for odor when it drains. It's unique in that it has a collection tank for urine, but it also has a valve with a hose that will lead outside. And since we do a lot of boondocking, we often will leave that open, so I never have to empty the urine container. The 5-gallon bucket that is lined with plastic bags, you could, I usually never let it go more than a week, but it can go 2 weeks and there is no odor at all, because down in the bottom of this, with an opening to the outside, is a fan. And that fan, when we close this, draws the air in on the side and outdoors. So there's a negative pressure, so the air never comes this way. It's always being slightly drawn outside. It has many features that you'd have to watch the build to see, but right here are 2 units that when you push a button on the side, it sprays the urine container and it drains through. So it is, to some extent, self-cleaning. And this is a switch to the fan. That is to wash the urine area. And of course, this is our toilet paper holder. By the way, before you ask, this was a video and a build too. Joyce, sitting on this commode, her feet don't touch the floor, but now that's not a problem. And these both will kick out of the way. Something that's relatively new. Last year, I bought this towel holder and rack, and that's been very handy for holding things and keeping things in place. We use these clips so the towels are not on the floor when we stop the vehicle. This rack is unique in that, see up here, there's a small pipe and a big one. This is expandable. It expands like 3 feet, or it goes down to a smaller area. So it fits whatever you've got. This is a galvanized mat that I have mounted to the wall, and Joyce is in the habit of picking up souvenirs, and to keep the cost down, there are souvenir magnets. So, we have really double the magnets we have up here. We have a small rival 700-watt microwave with the emphasis on the word small, so it doesn't take up too much room. An addition that we made last year was these small baskets. I put a couple of hooks in so they can come off. And these hold a lot of our kitchen stuff, salt and pepper and seasoning and a few other items, sweetener, etc. Little pocket on the side for various things. And way around here, Joyce has one on the side of her bed for some of her stuff, so she has easy access to it. Last year, I put these 2 lights up, replacing the old square ones, bulb ones. They're LED. They're actually like a piece of plexiglass with LED lights in it. And touch the center, it goes off. Touch it again, it turns blue, and I can dim it just by holding my finger on it. It's pretty nice. And of course, they go on and off with wall switch. And when you put them back on, they reset to their original state, which is just full on. We have the fantastic fan, which was installed when we had the camper built. It is the one that opens automatically, and you can keep open in the rain. And it has a remote control to control the speed, whether the air is going in or out, and even has a timer on it. Pretty nice unit. Going towards the back here, we have a map under plastic, and if you can see a lot of little dots on here, and we are way behind in putting our dots on here, of many of the places that we have stopped in the country and in Canada. I have a retractable shade to give us privacy, so we can still kind of see through it, but it's pretty much impervious to seeing through it on the inside. I have a Naxa TV, which is going to be replaced next year. This is an LCD TV. It's an old trucker TV. Pretty much the only things you could find 10 years ago. But I am going to get a regular LG or Samsung or Sony and modify it so it runs on 12 volts and put it up there for next year. Right over here is our speaker. It is Bluetooth, so it plays the news from my phone or watch, Apple stuff, and it also is plugged into the TV, because these small TVs notoriously have horrible sound. I'm sure you realize that. So this has amazingly good sound, and it's rechargeable. I will recharge this and use it in the house all winter before plugging it back in for radio use, and it actually does a super job. We also have various points of connection here to get power to these things. It's all 12 volts. And I have a small inverter here, just because once in a while I'll run into a couple of things like my laptop that can't be charged with 12 volts. So we try to do everything 12 volts when possible, but there's a small 400 watt inverter for when we don't. And it has lots of USB ports on it that run all the time. There are more USB ports down here too. We have two fans. These are Opolar fans. The same fan is sold under different brands. And these fans, which are rechargeable, those are the cords right there that I plug into it to recharge them, have this massive alligator clip on them that holds really good. It'll clip to the arms of a lawn chair also, which is handy when you're at a music festival and it's really hot. And they have 3 speeds, and on lowest speed, which is plenty of air for sleeping, even on a warm night, it'll run 26 hours. And on the highest speed, which is really turns a lot of air, these fans are pretty impressive, it'll last about 6 hours. There is one cabinet up here. We mostly use this for dry goods, and it has a locking hasp right here. You turn this knob and it locks it down so that this cannot budge. If you ever had all of your cabinets or drawers open when you travel, you know exactly what I mean. This drawer also has a knob underneath that locks, and so does this table slide right here. We have this paper towel holder that's made for RVs. And why it's made for RVs is that it isn't free spinning. It has kind of a ratchet sort of thing to it. So when you come back after a day's travel, there's no more than maybe a foot of paper towel that's come out, and that's it. And we also have this thermometer unit. And this thermometer is self-setting wirelessly, so we have the time, the date, and it also gives us the outside and inside temperature. And of course, to get the outside temperature, you've got to have an outside thermometer. And let me show you where I keep it. Remember the spare tire? Well, I have a large pill bottle with a zip tie that goes through a hole and actually attaches to the thermometer. And the cover's on it good, and it's, of course, like all pill bottles are, you have to jump through hoops to remove it, so it's not going to come off. A couple of holes drilled in the bottom in case water should get into it. And it keeps it out of the sun, which will give you a false reading, and keeps it out of the rain. Now, as far as power is concerned, this is a big battery. I mean, that's literally the name of the company, Big Battery at bigbattery.com. This is a self-contained 202 amp unit. It has built-in fire suppression, and it's the CO2 fire suppression, by the way. It has a switch on it, it has a voltmeter, completely self-contained. It has a 10-year warranty as long as I don't remove that sticker right there. I also have a Victron charger and a shunt so that I can see the status of the battery on my phone. And of course, I just have a switch over here to cut everything off. Now, we watch a bit of TV every night. We have the lights and we have a lot of charging ports and various things, but there's no refrigerator because when we take off, it's 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes, and we move almost daily to be able to see new stuff. And we have a lot of dry goods, and we'll stop often at a grocery store, Walmart, something like that, and pick up what we need for the evening for dinner. So it's fresh, and we don't keep a whole lot of stuff around, don't have to buy ice, don't have to drain the battery with a refrigerator, and so forth. So for that reason, we don't need solar power. I do have a small generator, which I almost never use, but this battery right now is 79% full, so it's 21% depleted. And on the trip we took, I hadn't charged it in 7 days. So a battery like this will easily, for us, go 2 weeks, maybe longer. If I happen to stop at a campground, I'll plug it in and top it off. If need rises, I can start the generator and charge it in a few hours that way. So what is the electricity for? Well, I have, if you remember, 2 cords, 2 25-foot cords. And the bottom plug outside, when you plug it in, it powers everything. The microwave beeps and you can run it. The battery's charging, which is the most important thing. We got a couple plugs right there. I'll run an electric coffee pot sometime. And since the battery's being charged and everything, all of the 12-volt stuff also works because it's running off the battery, which is still being charged. The other plug, the one on the top, is for one sole thing, this heater. And for people who are wondering how to heat their camper, unless you have to do something that's really self-sufficient, like propane, so you know, if you can't plug in anywhere, if I plug that top plug in, this household baseboard heater kicks in. And it's a 110 one, not a 220. You can buy them. And it's run off this thermostat. When this heater starts, I can go from 20 degrees to 90 degrees in a very short while. So it's always kept on low, and a room this size, this is overkill. This will heat a bedroom in a house. And it's quick, and it's reliable, it always works. So for us, it's the best choice. This is the bed, it's the captain's bed, and it's called the captain's bed because captain beds are usually made this way so that supposedly the mattress doesn't slide off in a rocking boat. It has 2 very large drawers on the inside that go back halfway to the bed. The other half of the bed underneath, if you remember, is the garage where all of that stuff is kept underneath. We have a 8-inch foam mattress, memory foam mattress. We've had it since 2010, and it's been very, very good. We really like it. Now, it's a little bit longer than this is wide. Remember, this is a 7 wide, so it's a pretty wide trailer. But I needed 4 inches less. So one good thing about memory foam, you take a long bread knife, a serrated knife, and it cuts really easily. So I cut the bed the right length. It fit in here. You know, there are no 6-footers in my family, so this is not a problem. Well, thank you for watching. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and other places to get other people's ideas. Maybe, just possibly, you'll garner a few from this also.